The Cowboys facing the Cowboy facing the most pressure next season, other than Dak, is blank.
Yeah, as a player, I felt this. I'm like, dang, every time I turn on the television and I'm paying attention to sports TV, it's always about the Cowboys, the Cowboys, the Cowboys, and I never felt like they earned it. And now, full-time broadcaster, and that's all we talk about for most of the year, especially when we're talking football, is the Cowboys, the Cowboys, the Cowboys. So the answer really should be the whole dang on organization, but the reality is it always goes to one man, and that man this year is going to be Coach Mike McCarthy. Coach Mike McCarthy sat in Appleton, Wisconsin, and he watched film from previous years and everything that every other team was doing, the trends and the fads. Look, your quarterback's healthy now. The owner, Jerry Jones, is 78. He wants to win now. So if you don't get it done after starting the year like last year, the way you did, it could be a wrap for you halfway through the year. So Coach McCarthy is the answer.
Ooh. I think McCarthy's a great answer. I'm going to stay on the coaching staff and go to Dan Quinn, who I talked about a moment ago. Legion of Boom here in Seattle's a long, long time ago. Between now and then, Dan Quinn was the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and they were bad, outright bad defensively 5 of his 6 years there. The year they went to the Super Bowl, they had a top 2 offense, top 10 scoring offense in the history of the NFL, and they had a bottom 5 defense, which ended up costing them the Super Bowl. Dan Quinn is there to replace the much maligned Mike Nolan. We'll see if he's any better. But at least McCarthy's got a lot of talent to work with on the offensive side. I don't know if Dan Quinn has that on the defensive side. So to me, he's the one under the most pressure.
Yeah, so I'm going Zeke here. You know, I like a good off-season Instagram workout video, so I'm high on Zeke this year. But look, Dak went down and people are like, all right, Zeke's time to step up. Nah, not so much. Career low, 4 yards a carry. He only had 200-yard games. So I want a big bounce back year from Zeke this year, Jenna.
That's a great answer.
All right. We can cross the Cowboys off Russell Wilson's list of preferred destinations. They got Dak signed up for the next 4 years. Brandon, Dak's deal should have Russ feeling blank.
Anxious. I sat in this seat before. You know, as a player, after the year is over, business is to be had, and it's time to sit at the table and figure out what's next. And for Russell Wilson, he wants to win, and he wants to win in high fashion. So now when you see other players' name come off the board or situations that you thought you could potentially be a great fit in be taken, then you start getting anxious. So Russell Wilson, you know, he needs to be looking at the real possibilities, because the Dallas Cowboys, if we're really being honest, it was never a real possibility. Like, why would you get rid of Dak Prescott when you look at what he did in 2019, 2020? 2019, almost 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Come on, man. And then this year, averaging 497 yards before he went down in Week 5. Logan Ryan horse-collared him down and broke his ankle, compound fracture. So the answer really is anxious. Yeah, it's anxious. The Bears are a real possibility, Nick. And then also the Raiders is a real possibility. So let's focus on that right now, Nick.
I'll give my answer in a moment. Anxious, oddly enough, is the exact way Wilds feels whenever Brandon starts to describe the beginnings of an injury, because he's anxious about how deep into detail Brandon's going to go. Like, he horse-collared him. Okay. Oh, compound fracture. Okay. Is he now going to describe the surgery and maybe the scalpel that was used? Wild just gets really nervous, Brandon. Yeah. Go ahead.
Nick, one time playing against the Dallas Cowboys, Sunday Night Football,
No.
I broke 3 ribs and it collapsed lung. So on the way there in the ambulance, I had a Gatorade. So they couldn't put me to sleep. So what they end up doing was, while I was woke, they took a knife, they cut me open, and then they took this big tube and they just shoved it in my lungs.
Not Brandon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in.
This is real life,
Brandon,
folks.
You gotta.
Folks, this is real life.
It's not real life.
This is the player perspective that Brandon's here for.
No.
Guess what? I can study all the CBAs in the world. I don't know what it's like to have my lung reinflated in an ambulance. All right, let me get my answer. Dak signing a deal with the Cowboys should have Russ feeling Raiders or bust. Because here's the deal. Russ gave 4 teams. The Saints were on that list. They were never on that list because of the cap situation. Scratch them off.
Couldn't
The
afford
Cowboys were on that list if they wanted to trade Dak. Now they're off the list. The Bears are on that list. I cannot find a Bears trade that makes sense for Seattle. So they're not crossed off in marker, but they're kind of crossed off in pencil. That leaves only the Raiders. And whether or not John Gruden wants to trade Derek Carr and a couple first-round picks is yet to be seen. But Wilds, Russ has to be feeling like it's either Vegas or stay in Seattle at this point.
I totally agree with you 100%. The wish list was just terrible. I think I'm mad at ourselves.
Right.
I'm mad at us for giving this any credence whatsoever. This is when my family and we order a bunch of pizzas and we're like, oh yeah, and a bunch of side salads. And the salads come and we throw them right in the garbage. We didn't want the salads. We just felt guilty about ordering that much pizza. The Raiders did. The Saints was never going to happen. He knows that the Bears can't trade. And the Cowboys were about to sign Dak. It's just Raiders. We know it. He's not putting it like, oh, and the Patriots. All right, well, you're going to get a call from Bill Belichick. And then people are going to freak out. You don't want to go where it's just the Raiders. It's a fake wish list. It's my salad pizza. There are salad pizzas.
True story. I literally, Sunday nights, I eat 3 salads. That's what I do when the rest of the family eats the pizza. So I'll be at your house for scraps, Wilds. On to Philly now. Report came out yesterday. Wilds. Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie is backing Jalen Hurts, wants Hurts to be successful, would prefer not to see a quarterback competition. Went so far as to tell coaches to surround him with as much talent as possible. Hopefully that leads to success. So, Brandon, Jeffrey Lurie backing Jalen Hurts is blank.
I'll believe it when I see it. You mean to tell me if Mac Jones or Justin Fields or Trey Lance is sitting there, you're not going to look at them, you're not going to take them? You know what the Jaguars is going to do at number 1. We think we know what the Jets are going to do at number 2. We don't know if they're going to take this kid, Justin Fields, or if they take Zach Wilson. A lot of talk around him. But then you have the Falcons. What are the Falcons going to do? A lot of people believe that the Falcons will take a quarterback, but you still have guys left on the board. And you're sitting there picking at number 6, and you're not going to take a quarterback? Come on, man. I'll believe it when I see it, Nick.
Well, we'll see what the Eagles do. But no matter what they do, this right here is bad business. The owner meddling in football affairs and then leaking it is always bad business. And so I just don't understand why, A, Jeffrey Lurie wants to insert himself in this, and why, B, it's getting out to the public. So, Wilds, Jalen Hurts, whether I believe in him or not, set that aside. This is not the right way to run a football team.
So,
buddy, you're on TV and you claim to be a resident GM and you're making fake trades and you're saying this person should do this and this person should that. Right. You don't think Jeffrey Lurie, who owns the Eagles with hundreds of millions of dollars, gets to weigh in on the quarterback? Of course he does. He runs the team. Like, wow, what's he gonna do?
Yeah, but it's bad
Puzzles?
business.
Hey, of course he's gonna weigh in.
Wilds, you want to know something real quick? Hold on, before you give an answer, just so you know, when I interview for fake GM jobs, do you know one of the first things I say to the owner? I want to tell you something right now. If you want to be involved in football operations, I'm not the guy for you. I'm not the guy for you. Now listen, we can shake hands and go our different ways. But if you decide to go with me in the fake GM business,
get the job first before you tell the owner that.
I'm just letting them know. No, it's important to set the parameters upon my fake employment. It's very important.
We appreciate your transparency. I'm going pick 6, not the football play pick 6. The Eagles have the 6th pick. And here's the thing. If you're serious about this, Friday, March 12th, North Dakota State is having their pro day with Trey Lance. Don't go. Don't send anyone. No Eagles hats, no green sweatshirts, nobody undercover with a fake mustache and those glasses really from the Eagles, but you know, they're wearing a Bengals sweatshirt or something. Don't do it. So if you don't show up to Trey Lance's pro day, I'll think you're serious. But if you do show up, I don't know about it.
I like it.
All right, let's talk about your guy, Brandon, your old buddy, Fitzmagic. Reportedly plans on playing in 2021. Now it's just a matter of finding the right fit for his services. Brandon, Ryan Fitzpatrick coming back for a 17th season is blank.
Listen, let me take out my notes, because when something magical happens And that's the answer, magical. But when something magical happens and you're accepting an award or you're talking about somebody you love and you really care for, you want to read from the note so you don't mess it up, okay? Fitzmagic, baby, my guy. All this talk about Brady, Breeze, Big Ben. How about some love for Ryan Fitzpatrick? 7th round from Harvard, 250th pick overall. This will be his 17th year. Nick, show my guy some love. He can get it done.
Well, I'm going to show him some love in a very odd way. Brandon, the most important thing Brandon just said is the following. 250th pick of the 2005 draft. You know who was in the 2006 draft? He sits right there. His name's Brandon Marshall. And I think this is a challenge to Brandon. Fitzy sees Brandon. Brandon's like, hey, I'll box Deontay Wilder. Hey, I'll do a pit crew for Bubba Wallace. Hey, I'll dunk on Trayvon Diggs on a 6-foot hoop. What, we're not, what's that? Is that Brandon Marshall running routes at the House of Athlete Combine? Is that Brandon Marshall staying in shape? Is that Brandon Marshall figuring out which foot to plant off of to go? I think it's a package deal. I think just like Brandon went to the Jets once upon a time and said, you want me back? You bring Fitzy back. I think Fitzy's going to these teams and saying, you want me to come in and throw a bunch of interceptions, but everyone loves me? You need to bring in Brandon Marshall. I'm just letting you know, he's doing the bench press.
He's got you gone.